live today, and we are going to be looking at how to create high ranking AI content that needs no editing. If you have been struggling with your AI content and finding that whenever you get it to write, it looks sort of okay, but it's full of stuff that you just want to get rid of. And there's just so much AI like phrases or words that you just want the AI to help you to now edit, and then you just have different problems, or you just spend hours just editing it. If you want to learn how to create content without needing to edit at all, long form content, then you are in the right place. So, if you're tired spending all those hours just editing, and sometimes it feels like you spend exactly the same amount of time that you would have used to write the content, to edit, um, that can be really frustrating. So, what are we going to be learning today? We're going to be learning three things. We're going to look at how to structure your AI prompts for perfect content in one shot. And just in case there are people here who may not know what I mean by AI prompts. So these are prompts are the instructions we give to AI to tell it what to do. Um, they've coined the idea of prompt engineering. That means you're engineering prompts and guiding AI, almost like you're an AI whisperer. Um, but today we're going to be looking at the perfect types of prompts that can help your AI write long form content. So I'm talking like 2,000 words, 3,000 words of content in one shot, and we won't need to edit it at all. And you can post that live, and Google will love it, and Google will rank your content. So we're also going to be looking at how to make um, these long form content be as clear as short answers. I don't know if you've ever written content, you've ever asked AI to write you an answer to a short question. Maybe you asked it, how do I bake bread, for example? It may be able to just answer that in roughly 50 words to 100 words. And because it's just 50 to 100 words, it tends to be good, right? But then when you ask AI to write you an article about how to bake bread, you start finding loads of problems in the content, and it just gives you a lot of shallow content. And sometimes you're just needing to edit it for a long time. And then I'm going to be showing you how you're going to automate this process, how to automate this whole process of creating long form 2,000 word, 3,000 word content that will succeed um, in, in the SERPs, search engines, and succeed at engaging your customers, and succeed at pulling traffic to your website. So just wanted to say for quickly, um, for those of you who are watching live, if you're watching live, just to help me know who's here, and to sort of reach out to you, and after the presentation, if you're watching live, just can you just type in live in the comments? And if you're watching this also afterwards as a replay, I would really like to still touch base with you and just kind of know um, the idea of the people who are watching this. So if you're watching a replay, just type in replay when you are watching this. I know that Facebook, they're changing um, things around live videos, because they will be deleting a lot of our live videos soon. So we really encourage people to kind of watch the content um, before it gets taken down. I mean, if it get taken down on Facebook, I'm going to put this in YouTube as well later on anyway. All right. So these are the three things we're going to be looking at today. By the end of today, you'll know exactly how to use AI to create long form content that requires no editing and succeeds in the search engines. You can get high ranks with this content. Okay, so We start with a big problem with AI writing. So usually when we're writing with AI, a number of things start to go wrong. First of all, you'll notice there's a lot of repeated words. Um, One thing that used to really get on my nerves is AI would start the sentences with the exact same words. So if you write 1,000, even if it's just 1,000 words article, but almost every paragraph is starting with the same types of words or phrases, even if you have someone who's eager to learn from you, once they start to read all the content that's starting with the same words, you get bored. It's just the way the brain is when something there's no variation. I know the brain doesn't like too much variation, but you like a degree of variation that will keep a person engaged. Unfortunately, if you leave AI to write all your content fully, they will add repetitions in ways that starts to switch people off, and it will cause people to bounce off your website. And obviously, we know Google is looking at all of that as signals of, oh, this is not a good content, and we don't want that, right? So that's one. The other thing is that it lacks depth, depth, and I've said this before in previous videos where we talked about how to get AI to write with depth. If you want me to send you the link to watch that video, just put in AI writing in depth or depth in the comments, and I will reach out to you with the link to that video. But that video we looked at how we engage thinking system 2 for AI, and what I meant by thinking system 2 is there's this concept in psychology around how we think as human beings. So usually if I take a ball and throw a ball at you, your hands will go up just immediately. And the reason it's going up immediately is your brain has thought very fast. A ball is coming to my face. I need to block my face with my hand, so your hand goes in immediately. That's like the knee jerk reaction thinking. Is almost like the intuitive thinking process, and AI also has the thinking system 1 that's similar to that intuitive process. But then the thinking system 2 is where we get AI to be able to, before I talk about the AI one, actually. So, as human beings, when we're doing the thinking system twos, that's when we are either ruminating over things or thinking, analyzing an experience, or thinking about the thoughts we are having. Um, there's a deeper level that allows us to sort of synthesize material. Now, AI can do this as well. It's just that it takes a bit of work to get AI to do this. Now, of recent, we've got the new reasoners, they call them AI, these AI reasoners. And what they've done is through training, they've been able to now trigger the bigger reasoners to start to reason. But there's still a problem, even though they're reasoning. When you ask them to then write out an article, although they've reasoned properly about it, they write it out in a way that is just still not as effective. And the way I think about it is, if you've got someone who's very intelligent, very, very intelligent, you often find that they might struggle to interact with people with their words easily. You might maybe find that when they talk about different things, they use clunky phrases, they use big words, they use um, words or sentences that might put people to sleep, even if they don't intend to, right? So we're finding a similar thing is happening with a lot of the. Just realize that my mic might not be in the right place. Okay, so hopefully people can hear me a bit clearer here now. Okay, right. So we're just finding that there's a similar thing happening with a lot of the AI tools, especially the reasoners, the more intelligent ones now, that whilst they are very intelligent, when they bring up the content, they're sounding like university professors. Now, having a university professor itself is not a bad thing, except that you don't want to read an article written by a university professor because it will put you to sleep. You want to read an article that gives you a reason to keep reading and actually enjoyable experience, not something that will feel like you're reading a research paper. Um, so we want to sort of move away from those kinds of problems that AI will create. So like I said before, when AI, when you try to edit with AI, you tell an AI to edit something for you, um, chances are that you come back and you find that the content is completely changed, right? So perhaps you had good content before, now you have content that's different from what you had before completely, and it's now way worse, right? So these are problems that we need to sort of try and avoid. Another problem would be that AI would sound a bit robotic and won't have that kind of emotional consistency, emotional flow to the content. And why is that important? Content that has no emotion creates no motion. What I said there. So content that has no emotions creates no motion. In other words, you cannot move people into action if your content is bland emotionally. What causes people to take action is because the emotions you're giving them, whether you make them feel excited, happy, they want to move forward with it, or whether you make them feel sad or anxious, and because they feel anxious, they want to solve a problem that the anxiety has triggered, right? So you have to create emotional content to help people to move forward. And if your content lacks emotion, people will bounce, right? So all these are just signals that Google will be kind of watching. Whilst Google may not necessarily go and check your content for emotions, but it will react to people's reaction who when they don't feel connected to your content, right? So those are kind of big problems. And whilst I was sort of doing the research, I found some things that people would say about this. So one person said, I can spot AI written content a mile away now. It's giving me the ick, right? Another person says, I go in and fact check everything, then I rewrite the parts that sound like a bot. And you all would know these kinds of words if you've done use a lot of AI tools to write delve or in the world of or embark on a journey. I hate the word journey so much so that I'm always trying to kind of nuke it out of all the content. Right. So some people feel that it takes them the same amount of time to edit, like it takes them to write. Like I've said that before. But the point here then is that this is a problem that we are all experiencing, and why does this happen? Why does this happen? You see, AI is great at answering simple questions with short, high quality responses. So those short questions. So if you ask an AI to maybe, how do I wash my hand properly? And if the answer is just going to be between maybe 50 to 100, or maybe up to like 250 or 300 words, um, they may be able to answer up to 300 words effectively and with depth. And in fact, sometimes you find some of those answers will be quite surprisingly good. But then when you get the AI to now write an article, all those quality just disappears. It's almost as if it's a different um, person and a different tool that's writing the whole content. Whereas in my mind, I was thinking, okay, you were able to write a very good answer, short form, right? So why not just be able to just produce multiple different um, short forms for the whole article, and you get a good article? But AI cannot do that, and there are good reasons why it cannot do that. Um, One is that the more you ask AI to do, the less effective it will be. So, in other words, so ask AI, write me um, an explanation for why water quenches thirst, right? It starts the process of writing that, and it can write that okay. But then when you say, make sure it sounds like, make sure it sounds like something you write for a 3-year old, and make sure to make it chronological in order. And so really the example I'm giving here is, when you, for each task you add to a prompt, you lose a little bit of quality. So when the AI has to focus on so many different things to give you the output it needs to give you, it drops in quality each time. And so if it now has to consider giving you a long content in addition to all of that, that's naturally just waters down the effectiveness of what the AI is doing. So to think about the solution to this, and this is where we're just going to help you see exactly how to start getting AI to give you long form content that requires no editing. We want to think about how AI creates text. So, as I say, we say AI is not a creative thinker because it's often predicting its text. So, it's almost like thinking about what could follow after this text, and from left to right, and giving you text that follows based on what is in its content, what is in its memory. um and because it's doing that, having to then keep in mind all the other instructions that you are giving it, as it's sort of trying to predict the next token, next word, the next word, the next letter, the next letter, it can get rather confusing. So rather than giving the AI all these different things to do, we give it a few things to do, but then give it the format and structure and the framework to work with. I'll explain how what I mean by all of this in a moment. But because you see, when we give it the framework, and in this framework, the idea is we're giving it labeled structures. We're giving it labeled structures to follow to reduce the amount of resources it's using in order to think about how it organizes as well as the content it's giving you. Um, so think about how AI is trained. For those of us who know, we know that the way the AI gets trained is either by being supervised in the way it's learning. So in other words, they give it something to learn, and they watch to see whether the things it predicts matches what it's meant to learn, and they give it a reward for getting it right. So they call that supervised learning. Or and with this supervised learning, what's often happening is that they're giving the AI a lot of pre-trained labeled content. So right from the get-go, the AIs are learning using labels for the different things that they're learning. And so really what we are doing is that we are sort of following the same process that AI is already comfortable at doing, by producing a structure using labels um, to help the AI to not have to think too much about the structure or the organization, and just focus purely on the content it's giving you. So, in essence, really, what we're sort of mimicking then is, for a long piece of content, we're mimicking like we're asking the AI just multiple short content, um, without it thinking about how it can write the whole long piece. I'm hoping that makes sense. Um, so, like we said, the AI, the reason why labels work for AI is because when the AI focuses on the labels, um, it can give you a very clear answer. It's focusing on the labels, focusing on the structure you've given it. It's following what you are doing. It's following the examples you're giving it. So it doesn't have to think about that example or come up with the right way of doing it. And so this enables that the final content that you have, um, is just a lot more professional and would require no editing at all, right? Um, and when I say it requires no editing, I would say it depends on the AI tool you use. Most of the top tier open source and the closed source AI tools, um, they can do this very well if you give them structured labeled content. And I'll explain exactly how to do this in a moment. So first, I'm going to go to a quick demo to show you what I mean by this. Now, some of you who have followed me for a while now, you may notice that you may have come across my workflows. Um, and those of you who haven't, I'll just show you quickly the workflows now. So if you go to stresstherapist.net/workflows, so stresstherapist.net is one of my websites that I use for reaching out to people struggling emotionally. Uh, but the workflows, this is a bank of templates that follow the process that I'm teaching you today. Um, to show you how it works, I'm just going to show you how it works quickly. Then I'll tell you the process and how you should think about the process of labeling the content in a way that would allow you to produce long form content in minutes without needing to edit the content, right? So if you go to stresstherapist.net for workflows, these are all free. So all you just do is click on them and you copy the content within the file that you have. So usually the files will look something like this. And within the files, there are structured labeled content in a way that I'm going to explain in a moment. But just to show you how it works, I'm going to take the direct sales one and open it in a text file. Now, this process would work in ChatGPT. It will work in Google's AI tool. I tend to find Claude also does a very good job, and the degree of prompting you need to use whilst using these templates with Claude is a lot less intense. So I'm just going to paste that into Claude, and I'm going to tell Claude that please. You wonder why we're telling AI please out. I say please to AI all the time because I'm thinking about the time when they become they become even more dangerous and they become physically able to harm us. Um, they'll remember that I was I was kind to them when when they were just text based tools. Okay, I said please give me a because it's a direct sales page template. Sales letter following. So please give me a direct sales letter following this template. Make sure to copy the structure, tone, and labels exactly, but make it about what's that one I could use? Make it about how to learn to forgive difficult people. Okay. So a few things I'm doing here. I'm getting the I'm getting the AI tool, in this case is Claude. I'm getting it to follow exact structure of what I have in the content I posted, I pasted into it. Um, Now, the idea here is we wanted to write a long form content without me having to stress. If I didn't do this, what would I would have had to do would have been maybe get it to write each section, have to prompt exactly how it should write each section. I could spend a whole hour to 3 hours trying to do what I'm just going to show you now. Whereas all I'm going to do now is just press send. And what you're going to see Claude is going to do is go through the process of generating that whole content, and everything is written. You can see all the headings all done, all nicely structured, all nicely edited without me having to edit or touch it at all. You can see all that, and it keeps going, keeps going. So Claude is following the sample I gave it. Now that sample I gave it is not about how to forgive people. Is completely different subject line or topic. It's that's sales page is about, but it's using that template to create an in-depth long form content. I can see it's still going. It's still going. And so after I have written like this, the most I will have to do is if Claude has left in the labels, I will just remove all the labels. Sometimes Claude would actually write it without the labels in the content itself, so it's done that job for me by itself. So this is if I'm using Claude, and it's still going. It's still going. I'm just going to open Word so to just to see how many how many words. So I'm going to copy that, and so we wrote 2,869 words. And if you read through this, it's all properly written. Properly written. I mean, the only things you'll find is depending on um, the specific terms you use, or sometimes you may use like American words or English words, English written words. Um, Apart from that, there's no need to edit that at all, right? And it's all done just in a few minutes. You can see that, right? No need to edit. You could just take that. Let's say that was a blog post that you were writing. You could just take that and plunk it on Google, right? Okay. So it did take me some time to sort of put that together. I'm not going to show you exactly how to put something similar together by yourself to be able to then write the content, get the AI to write the content that requires no editing whatsoever. So we're going to the practical how to do them. I'm going to go into the detailed step-by-step process, showing you exactly how to achieve something similar to what you just saw there. Now, before I show you that, just in case you are thinking this doesn't work, I'm going to show you examples that of such content I have written using the same format, same system that is currently ranking high on Google, and in fact on page one in Google, and some of them are actually number one for the keyword I was trying to rank for. Okay, so we're going to go to the practical how to now. So the first step you would have to take note is to define the content goal. What's the type of content you're writing? Are you writing a sales letter? Are you writing a blog? Are you writing an email? And that will help you determine where to start. So you could either take one of your own hand typed emails. I say hand typed emails because you are trying to mimic something a human would create. Because if you go and take um, content that was originally generated by AI, you're going to find that your outputs all sound like AI anyway, right? Again, there's also a principle going on here. If you create content that was that you've typed yourself, you take a content that you typed yourself and you put it in a template, and you use AI to generate from that template, and then you now take the content that was created by the AI from the template and use that to create a template, you get diminishing results. So you want to always start your templates as something that you created to first of all to start off with, um, and then you could maybe use AI to create similar forms, right? I hope that makes sense. I hope that wasn't confusing, right? So really, you are getting the content to create the specific type of tone. Maybe it's an educational content. Maybe it's just a casual form of content. Um, it may be that what you saw was you saw there was a competitor who has a sales page that is ranking very well. You could take that competitor's sales page, copy it just like that, and use the same format of creating a template, and use that to get the AI to create a similar type of sales page for you. Right. Now, the next point is very, very, very important, because if you don't follow this, you're bound to have AI writing content that's not factual. When you are creating a template for AI to follow, you must always use factual content, because your AI is also thinking, oh, do they want me to write um, fiction? Do they want me to make it up? Do they want me to follow facts? Right. As it's reading your examples, if it sees factual examples, it's going to produce factual content. If it sees fictional examples or made up examples, it's going to create made up content. I hope that makes sense. So you have to kind of bear that in mind as you're creating this template and following the method I'm showing you. So next, we want to kind of use labeled examples, and I'm going to kind of walk you through how you get these labeled examples now. So, so instead of saying to the AI, write an article about X, we're going to use this structured prompt, similar to what I just gave you did with Claude just now. All I just did, although I just copied my structured content, and I gave it the prompt, help me write an article about X following the format, structure, language, and tone of this sample. Please make sure to use the exact labels as you see in the structure. Now, just to mention quickly, I did it in Claude. If you were to do it in ChatGPT, you may need to kind of change that initial prompt slightly. Every tool is slightly different, so you adjust to that tool, right? So for any content, it usually has a format. So for example, a blog post would have like a topic, which is the title, an introduction, the body sections. You can have perhaps have maybe 2 to 5, 6 body sections, and each body section is dealing with a theme, right? And and then you got your conclusion, right? So this is first of all, this is the big structure, right? Which is important to sort of have first of all. Now we don't want to stop there, because if you stop there, you still won't have very good content. You need to now go a bit more granular. So I want to kind of take each section. So, like for example, the body content, and label each 2 to 3 sentences based on the function that they are playing, the role they are playing in that sentence. Are they explaining something? Are they um, creating a list? So you have to label based on the function, and I'm saying label based on the function because the AI, as it's reading through your example, it said, "Oh, this is what it wants me to do here. This is what it wants me to do here," based on the labels. So it looks at the labels, looks at the content, and then makes sense and gives the AI context. So you don't have to do too much work telling the AI what to do, right? So the label must be based on function, on the function, what's its function, and the label must be meaningful. That's supposed to be meaningful, and the label must be generalizable. And what do I mean generalizable? Um, you want to create a template that can be applicable to every type of content. You don't want the template to just be applicable to just what you're writing. So, for example, if you are writing about weight loss and you want to use a label to say, okay, problem description as a label, you won't say problem description about fat, um, because that would confuse the AI, and the AI would always be thinking, okay, he wants me to write something about fat here. So you need to have the label very generalizable. And I'll show you an example now. So here's an example. So we're writing about the topic of how to lose belly fat, and then subheading here is speed up your body's metabolism to help you burn fat. And then we've got these labels. I like to put the labels in squared brackets. You don't necessarily have to do that, but whatever process you follow, whether it's squared brackets or whatever you do to demarcate what your labels are, make sure it's the same thing right through the whole template, because then the AI see, okay, there's a structure here, there's a pattern. Okay, I see the pattern, and they can follow that pattern, right? So here you have the problem, which is the main point problem, and the problem could be trying to lose weight, and I can't lose weight no matter how much I try, no matter how many exercises I do. I just have to look at a plate of rice, and I've put on the weight just by looking at a plate of rice. Um, and then example supporting the problem could be that example of, oh, I just look at a plate of rice and I put on a lot of weight from that. A solution to the main point. So these things in square brackets here, these are like your labels for that subsection, the body section of the article. So you need something, a set of labels in the introduction for all the different body sections. Let's say 4 to 5 body sections for the article or whatever you're writing, and then the introduction, and then the conclusion. Now, some of you who joined our group, our Facebook group from the very, very beginning, you could remember that we did some courses um, on how to think about instruction AI. So these are actually quite similar. Those of you who were not there, if you want access to those video tools, just kind of um, comment in the comment box. Um, Send me the video on labels, or just put labels there. So I'm just making up these um, pointers, right? So when I look later on and I'm reading through the comments people are making, if I see labels by your name, I know you want that video, right? But that goes into an extremely detailed explanation of how to think of in the context, about the context and how to use labels and the kind of labels to use to get the AI to be able to produce the outputs that you want. Exactly. Cool. So, but this is an example of how to do it. All right. So now, as you're doing that, you're labeling and structuring. You're making sure that you're thinking also of SEO. You're also making sure that you're thinking that the content is engagement is sort of engaging. Now, all the content that I write, I follow time tested structures. So not like these are structures I'm just creating by myself. These are structures that have been known to be very effective in the persuasive world, persuasive written language, for helping people, helping moving people forward. So maybe it's the story arc that you're following. Maybe it's the AIDA, I believe it's called, um, or BAB. They have all these different structures that that we follow when we are doing copywriting work, and as you are following, putting all of this in your templates, um, the examples you are using, the words you're using, you are making sure that it's also following um, SEO principles, right? And once it's doing all of that, your the content that will be the AI will produce for you would also follow SEO principles. And this is important because usually in the past, what we used to do would be, I want to write an article. I wanted to have these keywords, so I'll go and find the main keyword, but I'll also find maybe 10 to 12 um, smaller keywords or long tail keywords that I want to be in the article. So I'm going to write the article, and then I'm going to look into the article to look for where to put all these keywords without making it sounding awkward. Um, and that's what we would do in the past, but that's no longer necessary. Um, the only thing that's necessary, I would say, would be to find your main seed keyword, maybe what you use in the title, and maybe you use it a few times, maybe once or twice in the content itself. The AI, especially if you follow this process that we are talking about today, it will naturally infuse your content with the keywords that it needs to see, that Google needs to see to know what your content is about. And that's why my articles are still ranking without going through that in-depth process of SEO process that we used to do in the past. Um, the AI is going to infuse your content with the keywords, so you don't need to do those kind of keywords. All you just have to focus more on is that the examples you're using follow the time-tested, engaging um, processes and formats that we would usually do in copywriting, right? So you're using your usual strong headlines, and you are making sure that any of your examples keep AI cliche words, like we said, the delves, the journeys, or the in a world of embark on, those kind of things. Yeah, want to make sure that they're absent in your content. Now, them being answered doesn't mean that the AI still want to use some of those things, but it will be less likely to have those cliche words in them. And then in your templates, you are including smooth transitions. If you notice that AI is not very good at writing transitions, but when we include the transitions in our templates, like I've shown you, everything just flows smoothly, like you would expect to see. Hence, when somebody reads your article, they won't even know it's an AI written one because of the way it's written. It feels like what they're used to seeing from humans. Yeah, right. So, so this is the process that you will use to kind of write the content. Now, for those of you who have already purchased Private Content Wizard, for those of you who may not know what Private Content Wizard is, Private One Content Wizard is my AI writing program that writes all forms, literally all forms of content. And so for those of you who have Private Content Wizard, um, you have something that's actually quite good here in that you don't necessarily have to create all these labeled contents yourself. You can get Private Content Wizard to create it for you. So if you go to the DIY um, page of Private Content Wizard, you will see this thing that says generate workflow, and it'll pop up a window like this. Now, all you just have to do is to take that long form content that you have, that you want to create a template of, and put in these triple hashtags um, to demarcate all the different sections. And that's all you have to do. Just put it in there and then click generate workflow. Private Content Wizard will go ahead and create a workflow from um, your for that content. So what you're doing is you're giving it a human written content, and then it goes creates the template for you, the same template like I used in Claude. um, the same templates you can get from the workflow page I showed you earlier on, right? It creates a template for you, and it does that in quite a short space of time. Um, so you don't have to go through all that painful process. And it can be painful. But if you don't have Private Content Wizard, obviously you can just follow the examples that I've shown you. You can go to the workflow page, take an example of the workflow, look inside and see how it's all structured and creates. You can use that as a way of guiding yourself to create this. But with Private Content Wizard, you can get the fully structured, high quality label templates in no time. So, why this method works? You see, AI performs better when it's following a structured format. And the structural format, because it's not using too much resources on trying to organize its structure, it's only just focusing on what you're asking it to write, and it's focusing on the examples you're giving it. So this saves a lot of time and eliminates any need for heavy editing. You may have to edit in some places, maybe one or two or three, or you may have to remove the labels if that's all. But you won't have to spend so much heartache, spend so much heartache editing, and just to kind of confirm that this process works, because it's not just me that's used this. Some of the people who have purchased Private Content Wizard, like I would say, Private Content Wizard, all the modules you see here, the silo, this is like a bulk multiple writer. You can write 1,000 articles with just one click. Um, it's in at the back of it, it's following the same process I've shown you today. The labeled content, with examples for the AI to follow. Yeah, all these tools. I really love the course writer because this writes a lot of with analogies, writes with stories, still following the same process. And you would not, with a lot of these things, they just feel like it's humans that has written them. So here is what one of our customers says. It says, before PCW, that's Private Content Wizard, I wasted time generating articles and running them through multiple AI detection tools. Now, PCW is my go-to tool. It creates top quality human-like content from just a single seed word. I've stopped buying other AI programs because PCW delivers everything it promises. And the silo module alone generates a wealth of articles, and the content quality surpasses other programs I've tried. And this is what you will find. And not because I'm doing anything magical, I'm just following the same process that I have shared with you today, um, to to kind of create. Obviously, what I've just done is I've used an algorithm to use that same process to then create a lot of content like that. So who can benefit from this? If you're a blogger, if you're a content creator, if you own your business and you're trying to market yourself, trying to put the word out to people about what you're doing, and you want to generate organic traffic to your website, because organic traffic has a different thing, because when somebody goes to Google to search for something and they find your thing, there's a degree of trust that they already have. And so, if you're a business and you want to kind of generate the kind of organic traffic, this is the system that I believe will be good for you. So, anyone who uses AI for writing, it could be a freelancer, um, some or a writing agency. So here's another customer using private content wizard. It says, before discovering PCW, I invested heavily in multiple AI tools, spending over $500 each just to accommodate my team. So he has a team of writers. So since adopting PCW Pro, I've completely switched from all paid tools because it excels at everything from sales, emails, and advertisements, to course creation and blogging. It serves my entire team's needs at a one-time cost with no recurring charges. And the idea here is because Private Content Wizard, we are using open source AI tools, and the program is working from your PC. It's not working online, so it's not really owned by anybody. Once you buy the tool, it's on your PC and you can generate to your hard content without having to pay extra for all these take tokens. You know how they charge you more for keywords for tokens. So you don't have to pay for API or anything like that. Um, so this process that I've showed you today, there's a lot of real world results that you can get. Um, the content ranks, the content engages, the kind of content you create like this, it engages people quickly, can really, really easily make people hooked, and it's SEO friendly, and it actually able to convert. That's the key. You have content that doesn't convert, what's the use? It's able to convert, and I'm not just talking, I'm not picking my words out from the air. Here is an example of, I actually just um, took a snippet of my analytics today, and you can see it's 12th March. Today's 13th March. That was just yesterday when I was preparing the workshop for today. This is a an article I wrote using the same process that I'm sharing with you today, the same, without having to edit, right? And this article is driving traffic. Not only driving traffic, um, I know that whenever I see any link that has this MRQZ exit link, what that is showing is somebody has opted into one of my offers. Um, so someone comes in, they've seen my AI written article using the same templated process I've shown you today. They've they've enjoyed it. It's kept them hooked to the point that they've now signed in and they've continued to read more articles. So, and not only is it engaging people, Google is serving these AI written content to customers. So, why can you rely on the method? It's based on AI behavioral patterns. So it's actually following the natural pattern of AI anyway. And it uses processes that have been used by marketers and bloggers for donkey's years. So the themes and the principles behind how I'm writing these things is not something new, is what has always worked. So we're just taking what has always worked and trying to get the AI to follow what has always worked. And now if you were to go into Google and do a search for all these keywords, these are just some of the keywords from my website. My website is stresstherapist.net, as I said earlier. You'll find that I rank for these pages. So some of them I'm ranking number one. Some of them I'm ranking, at least I'm somewhere there in the page one. But these are keywords that actively bring in traffic to my website, and this is what I'm trying to kind of show you. And I've written all these articles following the exact process that I've showed you today, so you can see that it works, it works, it works. So the key takeaway from today is that AI struggles with long form content because there's just too much resources it's taking away. Each time you take away one resource by asking it to do an additional thing with each in your prompt, um, there's a diminishing returns. The that you experience, the quality diminishes. So instead of doing that, we want to use labeled prompts to ensure clarity. We give the AI the structure, we give it labels for it to understand what each section of content does. And as I said as well, that for those of you who have private content wizard already, you can automate the process of labeling flawlessly um, with private content wizard to help you just kind of get to that process. So you can get started with private content wizard today, and so you can unlock all the labeling processes it can do for you. And on top of the labeling, obviously you already see that we have so many different types of um, article types. The one-click article type, which is using customer avatars, it's going to write an article based on a customer avatar. So if you have a particular person you're trying to reach, that you want to niche down that article to reach them specifically, maybe you want to write to someone who loves to drive red Volkswagens, and they want to get electronic version of that. Um, so you can niche down that article to that point. And why does it work? Because in the background, I'm using the structured process to instruct the AI on what to do. Yeah, and that's exactly what it why it works. So what do you do next? If you're ready to generate high quality AI content with zero edits, you can either go grab my free workflows that I showed you earlier. For those of you who maybe didn't see that. So if you go to stresstherapist.net/workflows, you can grab these. These are good to go already. I'm going to be keep I'm going to keep adding more and more and more. So you have loads of email um, workflows here. You have loads of blog type workflows here. You have sales pages here. And you have video scripts here. So again, all you just do is copy that, and then you've got a template that you can use. Even if you don't want to get private content wizard, you've got a template that you can use. All you just use is take the copy, put it into any of the tools you're using, and ask the tool to use that as the format to follow, and you just have an article that needs no editing straight away. Right? You can see how simple it is, how easy it is. Yeah, and for those of you who would like um, the whole process automated, you can grab Private Content Wizard now. I'm going to put the link to Private Content Wizard in the comments once I've done through the video. And that brings me to the end of the workshop. And I'm going to look in the comments. If you have any questions, I'm going to look in the comments and answer the questions that people have asked. May not be able to do that live, but we'll go through and answer each person's question. And if you have any other question and you don't want to just put it in the comments, you want to just message me privately, feel free to do that as well. And I will do my best to answer you. So that brings us to the end of the workshop. And thank you so much for being a wonderful audience. And next time we'll be doing some even more wonderful videos and tutorials. Wishing you all the best. Bye.